Shin Megami Tensei is a series that spans dozens of games, each with its own tone, mechanics, and level of challenge. Some dive deep into philosophy and morality, while others focus more on strategy and classic dungeon crawling. Most of them are known for their tough battles and heavy choices, where every decision can shape the world around you. As such, picking the right starting point isn't easy. Over the years, I played most of the mainline series. Some incredible, others rough around the edges, but each one left me with something worth remembering. So if you've been interested in SMT but never knew which game to begin with, this video will help you narrow it down. We will look at which entries are more approachable, which are more demanding, and what you can expect from each starting path. So without any further delay, let's get started. Before diving into recommendations, I'd like to briefly explain what SMT is in terms of gameplay. To put it simply, it's a turn-based JRPG that blends challenging combat, monster collecting, and exploration into one cohesive, highly atmospheric world. Compared to other Atlas JRPGs, Shin Megami Tensei is darker, more apocalyptic, and often explores religion, free will, and the nature of good and evil. They're not just about saving the world, they're about deciding what kind of world deserves to be saved. All of this is also reflected in the gameplay. SMT is tough, it doesn't hold your hand, and the game expects you to struggle, to learn, and adapt. So when you finally get through a brutal dungeon, it feels earned. These games are laser focused on world-ending stakes, philosophical questions, and player-driven decisions. And unlike Persona games, there are no social sims, no calendar system, no time management. SMT is about survival and shaping the future. One of the core goals of these games is to recruit demons. You talk to them during battles and try to convince them to join you. Sometimes you flatter them, sometimes you threaten them. Other times you just hand over items and money and hope they accept the deal. Once they're on your team, they act more like units than characters. You can level them up and learn new skills, but in most cases they won't evolve into something new. This isn't Pokemon. Instead, you'll need to fuse them into stronger, more powerful beings. There are hundreds of combinations that you can employ, with a few special ones that require you to fuse not 2 but 3 demons. These typically result in some of the best party members, but you'll have to do a lot of prep work to obtain them. Then there's combat. Like Pokemon, it's turn-based but with a twist. That twist is the press turn system. It rewards smart play and foresight. If you hit an enemy weakness, you get an extra turn. And if you keep chaining those hits, you can take out an entire group before they even get a chance to react. The same rules apply to you. If an enemy hits your weakness, they gain the advantage, and surviving a full turn can be tough, especially early on. Demon weaknesses aren't always obvious either. You can't just look at one and guess. You have to constantly use the analysis feature and learn as you go. And sometimes the smartest move is to retreat, regroup, and come back once you know what you're dealing with. When it comes to your party, most modern SMT games give you a huge roster of demons to work with. You can recruit them, fuse them into stronger forms, and customize their abilities. Each demon has its own strength, weaknesses, and skills, so the team you can build can completely change how a fight plays out. Building a strong party isn't just about grabbing the strongest demons either. You need to cover your elemental weaknesses, set up good skill synergy, and stay ready for surprises. The wrong lineup can turn what should be an easy fight into a complete disaster. Another major difference lies in how your main character develops. Similar to how Diablo games work, you assign your own stat points whenever you level up. This freedom lets you shape your own protagonist into whatever role suits your playstyle. You can be a glass cannon that relies on devastating offense, a magic-focused powerhouse that manipulates elemental weaknesses, or a tank that absorbs damage when demons do the heavy lifting. Every choice shapes not just how you fight, but how you survive. When it comes to choosing which SMT games to start with, it can get confusing. Some games are standalone, some are loosely connected, and playing them in release order doesn't really change much. The series doesn't follow one timeline or a recurring cast. Each entry has its own world, its own themes, and its own rules, so you don't have to play SMT1 to understand Strange Journey, and even the numbered games don't directly lead into each other. This makes the series both approachable and confusing. Approachable because you can jump into most mainline entries without missing context. Confusing because there's no obvious first game to begin with. It's less like a single story and more like a different take on the same core ideas: order versus chaos, belief versus doubt, humanity versus the divine. That said, some entries are more approachable than others, which leads me to my first recommendation. Shin Megami Tensei 5 is the latest mainline entry, and in my opinion, the best one to start with. It features years of quality of life refinement, and it is also the most accessible one to date. Originally released on the Switch, 5 is a natural evolution of the series, especially when it comes to scale and exploration. Instead of moving through tight corridors or boxy cities, you now explore expansive, open zones that feel like demon domains. Each zone has its own layout, identity, and challenges. You're not just running from point A to point B, you're climbing, gliding, and platforming your way across layered terrain. This added verticality encourages thorough exploration and often hides valuable secrets in hard-to-reach places. And you want to explore these places as they often hide Nemons. These small red creatures tucked away in obscure corners of the map help you unlock useful upgrades. Combat plays much the same as in other SMT games, but now you have access to Magatsuhi skills. These special abilities let you boost your entire team, cast devastating spells, or inflict multiple status effects on enemies. They're very strong, but you can only use them once per battle, so timing matters a lot. And enemies can use Magatsuhi too, so you have to stay alert and think ahead when you decide to activate it. The game first launched on the original Switch, where it had some real performance issues. The resolution was low, the frame rate struggled, and the whole experience felt rough. Later on, it got an enhanced re-release called Vengeance. This was ported to all modern platforms, and this is the version you should be playing. It not only improved the technical performance of the game, but added a new story route that changes the tone and direction of the game in some meaningful ways. I won't go into details here since this isn't a spoiler video, but it does make the experience stronger overall. Vengeance keeps everything that makes SMT5 compelling while cutting down on the friction points that slowed it down. Fusion is cleaner, exploration is clearer, and general play is far less punishing in ways that felt unintentional before. It's the same game, just more polished and easier to enjoy, making it the best starting point if you're new to the series. Next on the list is Shin Megami Tensei 4. Regarded by many as the best in the series, this is a traditional entry that feels both modern and classic at the same time. It retains the series' signature demon negotiation and moral choices while streamlining menus, navigation, and combat flow. This is a game that also cuts a lot of archaic design choices. For starters, it got rid of the random encounters that plagued the previous entries. It also made the fusion system more accessible in that it lets you see all the combinations possible. The game strikes a balanced difficulty with an excellent tutorial built into Naraku. A simple dungeon that eases you in and tests your knowledge. It doesn't water down the challenge, but the early game can be punishing if you're new to JRPGs. Still, smart planning and experimentations are always rewarded. Choices matter both in story and gameplay, with branching paths tied to your decision. That said, the game doesn't overwhelm you with this early on, making it a great entry point. The story itself is mostly linear, up until the endgame, and it makes it abundantly clear you're about to reach something important, so you'll know exactly when you'll decide your outcome. Shin Megami Tensei 4 is also part of a duology, so if you like this version of Tokyo, there's a follow-up, Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse. It's mechanically identical, but includes some balancing tweaks that makes it slightly less punishing. It also features visual upgrades and UI improvements, making the overall experience a bit smoother. As for the story, opinions are divided. Some fans dislike Apocalypse's tone and narrative as it muddies the original ending. Personally, I enjoy it for what it was, even if it doesn't hit as hard thematically. The main drawback is that both games are exclusive to Nintendo 3DS. While they're still accessible, you'll need the hardware, which makes them less affordable today. You can technically play them on an emulator or a Chinese handheld, but the visuals don't really hold up at higher resolutions. Still, visuals aren't everything in these games, and in fact they hardly matter. It's still a must-play even if you already beat 5 or this is your first one. It's among the best in the series and a fan favorite for a reason. Next on the list is Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne. And honestly, where do I even begin? This is SMT at its purest, most uncompromising form. From its striking art direction and haunting soundtrack to atmospheric exploration, Nocturne set the standard that every modern SMT now follows. This is also the game that cemented SMT's reputation as a brutally challenging RPG. A single bad turn can erase hours of progress, and even random encounters can wipe out your entire party before you know what happened. It's not unfair, but it absolutely demands caution, planning, and respect for every battle. If you come in thinking you can brute force your way through, the game will quickly prove you wrong. Visually, it's nothing flashy. Even on release for the PlayStation 2, Nocturne went for a clean, minimalistic art style rather than heavy detail. Today you can play the game on just about anything thanks to the HD remaster. This release keeps the style intact but adds sharper texture, higher resolution, but it's still very much the same game from its era. If you plan on playing this game on consoles, the game will always run at 30 FPS, regardless if you own a PlayStation 5 Pro or Switch 2. Thankfully, this is an RPG where precision timing isn't essential, so the performance issues won't ruin your experience. On modern hardware, it maxes out at 1080p. Yes, even on the PS5, but it looks crisp enough to let the game's moody atmosphere shine, so you're not really missing anything. Given the game's vintage, there's no open zone exploration here. Instead, you navigate large interconnected areas that feel like labyrinths, which are full of secrets, branching paths, and the occasional nasty ambush. If Nocturne had one real flaw, then it would be its balance. Certain stats and builds can make the game incredibly easy. I won't spoil what stat you should prioritize, it's better to learn through experimentation, failure, and the occasional oh no moment. But just know you can technically level up your way out of tough situations, so you'll never be stuck. Other than that, Nocturne is best played when you have a bunch of games under your belt. That said, you can still start with this one thanks to the HD version, which made a ton of quality of life improvements. Just be prepared that this won't be a walk in the park. Not every SMT games come from the numbered mainline series. Over the years, Atlas has released many spin-offs and side stories that keep the core mechanics like demon negotiation, fusion, and alignment-based choices, while experimenting with tone, settings, and structure. And one of the best examples of this is Strange Journey Redux. Originally released on the DS and later remastered for the 3DS, it takes the familiar SMT formula and drops it into a sci-fi Antarctic setting instead of Tokyo. That change of scenery makes the story feel fresh and easier to follow, especially for newcomers who might be overwhelmed by the layered lore of the main series. The dungeon crawling is classic SMT, but the pacing is gentler, with stakes that ramp up gradually instead of hitting you all at once. As to which version to play, I can't really say anything substantive, as I only played the 3DS re-release. Dubbed as the Redux version, it adds quality of life improvements, voice acting, and a new story content, making it the most lore-complete version. While it's not exactly light, its straightforward narrative and contained structure make it a far easier grasp in sprawling entities like SMT4 or 5. So if you want something that captures the essence of Shin Megami Tensei while still offering an offbeat twist, this is a great place to start. Another option is the Raido Kuzunoha series. These games focus more on character-driven action than traditional turn-based combat, blending real-time battles with classic SMT elements. Like Nocturne, they first appeared on the PlayStation 2, so the presentation feels dated, but the gameplay holds up surprisingly well. In terms of mechanics, if you played a Devil May Cry game or a Bayonetta game, it's pretty similar to that. But since this is an SMT game as well, you can't really mash buttons and expect to win. It's pretty tough, really. With that said, you can upgrade your character and tweak equipment and summon demons to assist you in combat, so the difficulty evens out by the end. It's also a shorter, more streamlined experience with a simple yet engaging story. Honestly, I think it's an ideal entry if you want an SMT-style adventure that doesn't require a huge time commitment. Overall, I think they're a bit underappreciated by the general gaming community, especially the remasters. Atlas not only moved them to a new engine, but revamped textures, improved resolution, added lighting effects, and smoothed out the frame rates. Not every entry in the SMT catalog makes for a smooth introduction. Some games are better appreciated once you've already learned the series' quirks and built up some patience for its older design. Take the original SMT 1 and 2 for the Super Famicom, While these are foundational to the franchise, their experience is extremely rough by today's standards. Menus are clunky, navigation is awkward, and the game does little to guide you. They're fascinating historical artifacts, but they work best as a curiosity for fans who already know what to expect from an SMT structure. Then there's Shin Megami Tensei If and the Imagine Tensei series. These are niche even among the veterans. Take for instance If. It's a self-contained alternate universe story with dated mechanics that can be hard to return to, while Imagine Tensei shifts entirely into slow-paced, grid-based tactical battles. They have their place, but they're not ideal if you're looking to start with SMT. Same deal with Devil Survivor games. They mix SMT, Demon Fusion, and negotiation with turn-based strategy RPG combat. These are fantastic games in their own right, but because the gameplay structure is so different from the mainline series, they won't give you the same feel as other SMT titles. They're a better approach once you already have a few traditional entries under your belt. At the end of the day, the best place to start with Shin Megami Tensei depends on what platform you have, the tone you're looking for, and how much difficulty you're willing to take on. Some entries ease you with modern conveniences, while others throw you straight into hell. There's truly no wrong entry point, as every game has its own strengths and weaknesses, but some are definitely smoother introductions than others. The important thing is finding the one that fits your patience levels and playstyle, whether that means a more forgiving modern release or a demanding classic that tests your resolve from the start. SMT is a series that rewards patience and persistence. It can be punishing, yes, but the payoff is worth it, both in the sense of accomplishment and the unforgettable worlds and stories it delivers. But that's gotta do it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and click the YouTube notification bell. And to get in touch, just use Blue Sky. Thanks for watching.